The Nun by Diderot. Chapter 1. The Marquis de Crosmer's reply, if he does reply, will serve as the opening lines of this tale. Before writing to him, I wanted to know what he was like. He is a man of the world. He has had a distinguished military career, is elderly, a widower with a daughter and 2 sons whom he loves, and who return his affection. He is well-born, enlightened, intelligent and witty, is fond of the arts, and, above all, has an original mind. I have had enthusiastic accounts of his sensitivity, honour and probity, and I have learned from the keen interest he has taken in this affair of mine, and from everything I have been told, that I was running no risks at all by confiding in him. But that is no reason why he should resolve to reshape my destiny without knowing who I am, and it is for this reason that I have made up my mind to overcome my pride and reluctance, and embark on these recollections, in which I shall describe part of my misfortunes, without talent or artifice, with the ingenuousness of a girl my age, and with my natural candour. Since my benefactor might require it, or perhaps the spirit might move me to finish these memoirs at a time when distant events had faded from my memory, I thought that the summary at the end, as well as the profound impression I shall keep as long as I live, would suffice to bring them back to my mind with accuracy. My father was an advocate. He had married my mother rather late in life, and they had 3 daughters. He had more than enough money to settle all 3 comfortably, but that supposed at any rate an equal share of love for them, and that is the last thing I can give him credit for. Certainly I surpassed my sisters in qualities of mind and beauty, character and ability, and this seemed to upset my parents. As my natural and acquired advantages over them only brought sorrow to me, I strove from my very earliest days to be like them, in the hope of being loved, cherished, indulged and excused as they were. If anybody happened to say to my mother, "Your children are charming," it was never taken as referring to me. Sometimes this wrong was more than righted, but such praises as I then received were so cruelly paid for when we were alone that I would just as soon have met indifference or even insults. For the more the visitors shew preference for me, the more unkindly was I treated when they were gone. Oh, how many times I wept because I was not born ugly, foolish, silly, conceited, in a word, with all the disadvantages which served the others so well with our parents. I wondered what could be the reason for this strange behaviour in a father and mother otherwise good, fair-minded and pious. Should I tell you? Odd words let slip by my father when in a temper, for he was a choleric man, and certain happenings over the years, words dropped by neighbours, things said by servants, made me suspect a reason which might excuse them a little. Perhaps my father had his doubts about my birth. Possibly I reminded my mother of an indiscretion and the baseness of a man to whom she had been too soft-hearted. How can I say? But even if these suspicions were unfounded, what risk would there be in passing them on to you? You will burn this letter, and I promise to burn your answers. As all 3 of us were very close to each other in age, we all grew up together. Eligible young suitors appeared. My eldest sister was courted by a charming young man, but before long I realised that he was more interested in me, and I guessed that very soon she would only be the pretext for his repeated visits. I foresaw all the trouble this preference might bring upon me, and I warned my mother. That was perhaps the only thing I have done in my whole life that pleased her, and this is how I was rewarded. 4 days, or anyway only a few days later, I was told that a place had been arranged for me in a convent, and the very day I was taken there. Life at home was so miserable that this did not upset me, and I went off to Saint Marie, my first convent, in high spirits. As for my sister's young man, I was out of sight and out of mind, and he duly married her. His name is Monsieur K. He is a lawyer living in Corbeil, and his home life is very unhappy indeed. My second sister was married to a Monsieur Bachon, a Paris silk merchant in the Rue Quimpercourt, and they get on fairly well together.